Good evening and welcome. It's Friday, it's 8 o'clock, and that means it's time for Buster's Virtual Jazz Club. I hope you had a great week, and the weather is glorious here in London, so I hope you're having a nice day. So thank you to everybody who has signed up to my Patreon page and gives us a regular support through Patreon. That is very much appreciated at the moment. And a big thank you to everyone who also makes a donation via PayPal and Visa. We can take one-off Visa payments now if you wish to make a donation. Thank you for all your lovely messages as well. It's lovely to hear from you. It's very easy to make a donation. Just visit the website link below, and on that page you can see there's all the links there. And you can also watch all of my past shows, as we're on to show number 44 now. Amazing. And you can see who my upcoming guests will be. I've got one more show next week. Show 45 will be next week, and then I'm going to be taking a little break for the summer. I'll be back in September with some more great jazz guests. And please do also click the subscribe button on the YouTube page and give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the show, as that will really help me out. So on to tonight's show. My guest this evening is one of the UK's best known and busiest jazz bass players, nominated in 2016 and again in 2017 for a British Jazz Award. He studied violin, guitar and drums before settling on the bass in 1991. He attended the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, where in 1993 he gained the postgraduate certificate in jazz and studio music and an LGSM. He has worked with many of the great UK and US names in jazz, recording and touring with Bobby Wellens, Stacey Kent, with whom he's recorded 7 albums, Becky Mazzoleko, Alan Barnes, Elaine Delmar, Scott Hamilton, Brian Clatworthy, Ray Gelato and many more. Outside the jazz sphere, he's also played with some artists as diverse as Amy Winehouse, Imelda Staunton, Imogen Heap, Alexander Armstrong, Maria Ewing, Misha Paris, Rick Astley, Shane MacGowan of the Pogues, and Scottish folk fiddle wizard John McCusker. He also runs several of his own projects, which we're going to hear one of tonight: the swing band Jiving Miss Daisy, Gershwin Innovation, music inspired by George Gershwin's work, and the Simon Thorpe Octet. He writes the music arrangements for Mitch Winehouse's 7-piece band as well. He's also a composer, having written music for theatre, jazz ensembles, BBC TV and BAFTA award-winning short film Wedding Espresso. And I'm pleased to say he's here with us now, live on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very wonderful Mr. Simon Thorpe. Hello mate, how are you doing?
I'm very well, hello Buster.
Thank you for joining me this evening, joining us, and welcome to the show. And thanks for giving up your time and sharing all your lovely music. You've done so much, Simon. It's been amazing. You've worked with so many people. You've done so many albums. So it's always quite hard to pick. But we've just got a little selection here, which we thought would be a good sort of showcase of some of the various different projects you do, because you do a lot of different types of music as well, and it really is all absolutely top drawer stuff. So we just got a little selection for people here. So thanks for bringing those along. I usually like to start by asking how you've been keeping for the last, well, it's dragging on, isn't it, 18 months. We all sort of, we're kind of fed up thinking about it now, I think, but it's still kind of going on. And have you been managing to keep yourself busy? Have you been writing or managing to do any recording? Do you do any kind of studio stuff or teaching and things like that?
Mainly, I mainly do gigs. That seems to be mainly what I do. Yeah. So obviously that's suffered a lot in the last 18 months.
Yeah, it's hit you really hard, hasn't it? This.
Yeah, but last summer things started to open up a bit. As you remember, I did have some little outdoor gigs and stuff, and then a few of the clubs opened for a bit into the early autumn, so that was okay for a bit. Very patchy, but it was all right. And then, as you know, it all kind of closed down again around Christmas time and after, and then there was blank diary for 3 months or so, 4 months really. So now it's kind of, I don't know, somewhere around a third or a half of what it would normally be, but it's getting out of trouble anyway. And when you're in the depths of the lockdown, which we've had at various times, it does give you a chance to think about music and think about what you want to do and practice some different stuff, study some different stuff. So
Yeah.
I've managed to keep reasonably occupied.
Yeah, I remember chatting to Nikki Isles, and she was doing some online lessons with Vince Mendoza, I think, doing some arranging classes, and it is amazing, really, what you can reach out to people and do if you've got a bit of time to do it. And we've always kind of wanting to find time for these things, aren't we? So, well, I'm sure you've been productive, and but it is difficult at the moment. There's a few little things coming up, but I don't know about you, but I'm finding I'm getting a few gigs in, and then it all gets cancelled. Or I just had one cancelled on Sunday, like the day before, and things. I've had 3 moved all onto the same day, so like that's no good. It's oh crikey, yeah,
absolutely. That's the same. Yeah,
it's just chaos, isn't it, at the moment? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with. A lot of what you provided today, apart from one, is all new stuff, because you did record. You've got quite a few projects on the go. I mean, you're so busy usually, and you've got all these projects you're doing, and there's quite a few of these are very new albums, relatively new from just from last year, and just prior to the lockdown. So we've got a few things we're going to showcase of your playing. The first one we're going to look at is this fantastic live recording that you did at the 606 with the Hexagonal Band, and is that John Donaldson's band? Is that he? He's a bit of a reluctant leader, like some kind of players are, But we're kind of he's kind of the most senior, so he's kind of we make him colour sergeant,
and so it kind of is. I mean, he's done most of the arrangements. Certainly at the beginning, he did the arrangements. It started off. There was an album which we made of Becky Msaleku's material about 15 years ago, maybe, and.
Was that with Becky, or was that?
No, that was John and myself and Ian Price, the saxophone player at Brighton, who sadly died quite a few years ago now. He was only young. That was, I mean, the story behind that was that a few years previous to that, we did a tour with Becky with 2 bands. So it was Becky's quartet, supported by John's trio. And I was in both bands on that tour.
You were playing both bands. Right, gosh. Yeah.
The connection.
Hope you got 2 lots of money.
Probably.
That's all right. I'm only teasing.
Probably not quite double. Is probably how it works. But I think the main connection there was that Becky used to live in Hastings quite a bit, or stay in Hastings quite a bit, with an old friend of his from South Africa, Reg Hendrikse. And so he became friendly with John, who obviously was the main piano player on the scene down there. Yeah. And so that kind of it came about that we decided to put a tour together with the 2 bands. Right,
fantastic.
Which was lovely. So we did quite a few gigs up in Scotland and just around the usual kind of circuit in Britain. We went to Wakefield and some of the gigs.
Yeah.
So and that's one way that we all got to know Becky, quite well, and his music. And the more you see him play with him, the more amazing he was. So
yeah. He's a prestigious talent. I mean, a remarkable musician. Unbelievable kind of gift, and but not without his demons, I think it's fair to say. And life was difficult for him, and and I'm sure there's lots of interesting stories you could tell about being on the road with Becky. But perhaps what we'll do is we'll play this video. So this is the band that sort of grew out of keeping that music going. Is it something that you had a kind of mutual love of that music you wanted to play?
Yes, that's right. And I can't remember now. What's the track that you're going to play?
It's a McCoy Tyner track, right. Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit, and
that's right.
And so then the band evolved. It just kept going, and now you've got 2 albums, is it, with this group?
We were due to put one out last year, but for various reasons that various obvious reasons that didn't happen. But we're sort of planning to put that together. So yeah, originally there was a quartet, and then we thought let's just make it a bigger band. So it ended up with 3 horns.
Great.
So there were 6 of us. Hence the name Hexagonal came about.
Fantastic. And so this is a gig. This is a live gig that you played at the 606 Club, and we think and it's just prior to the lockdown, beginning of last year.
I think it was, if I remember rightly. It may have been just at the end of 2019. I think it was maybe January 2020.
Right.
And this is when we just released or about to release our first album, which is called McCoy and Miseleku. So all the tunes were by either McCoy or
nice.
Miseleku. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's check this out then. Here we go. And the track is Walk Spirit, Talk Spirit. Fantastic, yeah! Wow, what a swinging band! And let's just name check the musicians there. We got Jason Yard on the alto saxophone, Greg Heath on the tenor, Graham Flowers on the trumpet, John Donaldson at the piano there. My guest Simon Thorpe on the bass, and Tristan Banks on the drums. Lovely, mate. Must be great fun. And I was just saying, like, how nice to have three horns. It's it's compound multiplication, isn't it? The number of possibilities you can do with the arrangements and that.
Yeah, so it's a great band to play with. There's so much energy, we love it, and it always seems to go down really well. So,
I can see why.
Once we're back from the COVID craziness, I think we'll be ready. Well, we are ready to record a new album. So yeah.
Fantastic. And we've got the links. I've put all the links below, folks, for Simon's different projects, because you've got your website, haven't you? But each of these bands got their own website. So I think there's links below for each of these things if people want to buy that music or check it out. And hopefully we'll see that band with some gigs coming up soon. Do you do some of the arrangements for that band as well, or is it John?
Yeah, well, we just started this. The new album is going to be more originals. The difficult second album. Where do we go? So it's going to be, I think, probably mainly originals, but very much in the style that we've kind of set up. Which is a kind of high energy, sort of African influenced jazz kind of thing.
Well, it's got a sound, doesn't it? And I think you need, once you get that first album, you get your sound together, you get some gigs, and then you've got something to write for as well, haven't you? Yeah. This comes up a lot on the show, actually. How with jazz, when you write tunes, very often, particularly with something like that in mind, you're composing and writing for the actual musicians as well, aren't you? Rather than just saxophone, trumpet, whatever. And that really affects the writing. Do you find that with yourself, your compositions?
And also, I mean, the pieces are pretty much all written now, ready to be rehearsed and recorded. So we're kind of just waiting for an opportunity to do that, really. So it's been a difficult time, but
I guess with a band like that as well, you don't really want to remotely be sending stuff backwards and forwards, because it's about the energy of playing together, isn't it, with something like that?
Yeah, although actually we did that very successfully in lockdown. We had a grant from Jazz South, which we'd organised before lockdown, and they they awarded it to us, and then they said, look, you can't do the tour that you were planning for us to subsidise, and so they said, how about doing a lockdown recording? So we did. We played a tune of Greg Heath's called Temple of Juno, which is a bit of an epic. It's sort of about 10 minutes or something, and it went really well. It was great, actually. So that's out there as well. I think that's available to buy as well from Bandcamp and all that, from the hexagonal page. Temple of Juno, so we're very pleased with that. So that's one of the first originals we've recorded.
Great, fantastic. Oh, well, good luck with that, mate. I'm sure I look forward to coming and seeing you guys live. So at this point, I usually like to sort of go back a little bit, and sure. Perhaps you wouldn't mind sort of telling us a little bit about how you got started, maybe playing music. I know you play some different instruments. I know you're at the Guildhall, but was there a particular moment where you decided that this is what I want to do, and in particular jazz? Some people find like that there was an album, or there was this person that kind of, or sometimes it's just a sort of gradual evolutionary thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, in my teens, I was playing with some musicians at school that we'd got together, and we loved playing. This was from we were kind of 16 onwards, and we were sort of playing. I mean, this is the mid 70s, so we were sort of into prog rock, really. And I was
going to say, a lot of good music about. I mean, lots plenty to check out. Yeah,
interesting stuff. But at that time, I mean, none of us were really particularly aware of actual jazz, so we were just sort of trying to find, what's around and what do we like. But what we did discover, and we all really dug it, was the what's become known as the Canterbury scene, which was scene of British musicians, some kind of rock, some kind of jazz, and a lot of the bands. There was Soft Machine, Caravan, particularly the ones I liked were National Health and Hatfield and the North. And then, it's lots of different spin-off bands, Matching Mole with Robert Wyatt. All these bands were fantastic, and And
Sorry to interrupt, but if people want to check out a bit more of that, John Etheridge was actually my guest on show number 1, and I think we covered a bit in that. So if people want to, they can go back and check that out. That'd be interesting to see a bit more of that.
And a lot of that music, it was kind of a combination of jazz and a sort of hippie rock kind of combination. And so a lot of the guys involved in it were jazz musicians. So Jimmy Hastings played in a lot of those bands. He played in Caravan. He played with National Health.
Right.
And then people like Trevor Tompkins and Phil Lee, the guitarist, were involved on the kind of fringes of that. In fact, there's this fantastic record which I still play a lot. Hold on, you need to be able to see it.
Put it to you a bit more, bit towards you, bit more to you because you're cropped. Yeah, go on a bit more. Yeah, that's it.
It's called "Another Fine Tune You've Got Me Into" by Gilgamesh.
Wow.
Phil Lee is on that, and Alan Gowan, who is the main composer, who died quite young in about 1981, I think. So that was kind of the kind of music that I was, getting into. This is late 70s, but at the same time, we were sort of beginning to hear actual jazz and know where to find it. And I was getting guitar lessons at that time with a guy called Esmond Selwyn. He's still around. He lives in Wales. He's guitarist and teacher, and he introduced me to Wes Montgomery, Bucky Pizzarelli, Joe Pass, Herb Ellis. These were the guys that this is like, okay, this is what jazz guitar is all about. So
I think it's interesting as well because nowadays with the internet, anyone can find anything. I think to a certain extent, as a teacher, it's still our role to sort of I guess now it's to sort of shepherd them through it all, isn't it? Because this is such a vast amount out there. But when we were growing up, there was no internet, of course. So the only way you could find this stuff was if somebody would say, "Look, check this out," and a teacher was vital for that, wasn't they?
Exactly. So there's that, and also one of the guys that I was playing with all the time, Nick Allen, who was a drummer, is a drummer. His mum was a jazz singer, so she sort of introduced us to a lot of good music as well. Bill Evans, particularly, I remember she was a fan of.
Right.
And she used to sing around the clubs in kind of East London and Essex, where we lived. So people like Dave Shepherd.
That's where you grew up? Is it in East London? Yeah.
So she was playing with people like Dave Shepherd, Ted Beament, that kind of scene at that time. So gradually, I got to know a bit more about seeing some live music and seeing some live jazz, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to be doing.
And there would have been a lot more of it as well, potentially, like in pubs and things like that. That was a great scene, wasn't there? I mean, it's still going. There's still some venues still doing it, but it would have been much more at that time, prevalent, wouldn't it? Like lot more live bands, particularly in pubs, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. And then so gradually, I got aware of loads of different people that I just loved, of international type American artists. So I got introduced to like Clifford Brown, Sonny Rollins, and it's just like, okay, this is all the stuff I like. Coltrane obviously is probably I don't know, Where's Johnny Griffin, Cannonball, Joe Henderson. It's all the names that we all love,
Yeah.
And so gradually I got to know about all these guys, and I didn't grow up with them. My parents were massive classical music fans, and they were swing fans. They loved Sinatra and they loved Artie Shaw and all that. They music from their childhood, or possibly their parents' childhood,
Yeah, but they very much encouraged you, presumably, to pursue this.
And actually, they could see that, they always encouraged me to be a musician. So
great.
So I did. But my first job was actually as a sound engineer for the BBC. So I went when I left school. I trained to do that. So I did a degree at that time. So yeah. And then gradually, I'd always been playing, and I did a music A level and stuff. So I began to teach people music, jazz workshops.
Yeah.
And so that's gradually how I got, to go along to things and just learn more stuff and play more jazz.
It just goes on, doesn't it? We're just constantly at it, aren't we? We're just kind of constantly evolving and learning. And at some point, you did the postgrad at the Guildhall, didn't you? And
yeah, that's right. So I was maybe 29 or something when I did that. So I'd been playing for a while, but I hadn't settled. I didn't settle on the bass until, well, yeah, I think I was probably 28.
That's interesting. And what made you switch to that then? Was it just more work? Because it tends to be more work for bass players.
I mean, I was playing guitar, but I can't say I was particularly any good at it. I knew some nice voicings and stuff, but I didn't have particularly fluent solo. You know, I just didn't get that together. Drums was kind of, you know, I played quite a bit, and mainly started off just for the workshops that I was teaching. So I was teaching, you know, an ensemble, and quite often there wasn't the drummer. So I was like, okay, well, I've got a kit. I had beginnings of a kit, so I brought it along. Gradually started off just by playing time. And you know, got better at it. So, so I did start sort of on the scene. I started playing drums, and that was going okay. And then I was teaching on a workshop in Wales, not the Glamorgan, but another summer school in Wales, and had to go on somebody's bass. And I thought, this is good, you know.
Wow.
And so very soon I thought, I'm going to hire a bass and, you know, just start practicing, getting it together. And pretty much at that time, so that was 91 or something like that, I went along to the Glamorgan Summer School, and that's where I met Ron Parry and Dave Cliff, and pretty much straight away they started booking me on bass. So I was like, wow. And then after that summer, I got accepted onto the Guildhall course.
Wow. Was Simon there then on the course, on the summer school?
Yeah, he was. And Dave.
And Dave, obviously, Dave, dear Dave, yeah.
So it all happened sort of once I got a bass and started playing it, it all kind of fell into place pretty quickly. But I always say that, you know, I'd learnt the violin and the guitar and the drums. Well, bass is like a combination of all those things, you know. Yeah. It's like a violin, it's got no frets. It's tuned the same as a bass guitar, and it's basically a drum, you know, a drum with pitch, because it's all about, you know. Alison
Raynor always says to me she feels like she's halfway between the kind of the rhythm of the drums and the harmony of the guitar and the piano. So it's like you're covering, you're kind of like that equal ground, and that's how she thinks like of the music. It's very interesting that of your role like in the band and that. That's really interesting, actually. Yeah, that I can see how that would all be really useful. The sense of the time coming from the drumming, the harmonic vocabulary and language from the guitar, and then just picking up the bass. Well, it's obviously worked out very well for you. But
it worked surprisingly quickly, and I'm very glad to have found the right style of music for me and the right instrument. So yeah,
great. And let's move on to your next track, which is an audio track you brought along of this fantastic band which you run, and which is a very well known and highly respected band. Which is it technically your band, or is it you and Liz, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, it's my band. Yeah,
it's your baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I started it in 1999.
Gosh,
I think we had so it's quite a while now, 22 years. So we had our first gig at the 100 Club, I think, and back then. And I think when we started, we were just playing instrumentals, and then it kind of became apparent it might be good to have a girl singer.
Absolutely.
Especially because everybody kept asking, which one of you is Miss Daisy?
And you've got Liz Fletcher, as you're saying, who's fantastic. And it's a great band. And I mean, you know, this music is just wonderful, isn't it? So it's the sort of jive swing, you know, and people can dance, certainly, but you get this incredible sound, which I think is really authentic of that real kind of hot club kind of feel of that. Not hot club, I mean like the Ellington kind of early Ellington swing thing combined with the jive kind of thing as well. It's got that real kind of soul to it, you know.
When we first started, the arrangements that I did, well, just transcriptions really, were of those small band Ellington things, you know, with the four horns, and Johnny Hodges, and
well, it's what they used to call. They originally called it jungle music or Creole music, didn't they? Something like that. I don't know what they call it now, but like that's why when I hear your band, I'm hearing that as opposed to, because a lot of these jump jive swing bands are a little bit more the Lindy Hop sort of thing, but you've got that real Ellingtonian kind of spirit and sound. And then that must be to do with the arrangements and the writing. And
I suppose it is. I mean, it's I've always said really that I don't aim to be 100% authentic to any particular period. But
it's more feel like an essence.
Yeah, because I mean we play music from kind of late 1920s right through to late 1950s, so it's kind of it's quite a mixture of stuff. But yeah, the band's got an identity, and it's just the guys in it that are really strong players and make great
got a
sound.
Great lineup. And is this an original? I didn't know this one. This is a reduction I did of a Jimmy Lunsford big band arrangement, and I just, as soon as I heard it, I thought we've got to do this. It's perfect.
So it's pretty much true to the original in the sense of it goes through in exactly the same time. It's not been extended or shortened or anything else. So it's just reduced from 17 players down to 8.
So you've got 4 horns on this, have you? Is that there? Yeah. And so that's how you work. You get like a big band score, and then so it's very carefully arranged for your lineup. That's the thing, isn't it? Because you can't just take some big band parts and play it, because there's loads of bits missing, isn't it? It's got exactly. So it's the writing that really makes it work and be as effective as it is. I think that's where the skill is, isn't it? I don't think the audience quite realise that, the amount of effort and work that goes into these arrangements to when you do it properly like this. I think it really shows.
Sure. And there's it can be quite dense for people to read, for the musicians, because it's sometimes they'll be going straight from a lead trumpet part into a soli section where they're in a section. So sometimes there's a lot of notes.
And in a big band, they'd have someone else to take over, wouldn't they? Exactly. Of course.
You have to juggle it so that is manageable, but it seems to work most of the time.
And you also have to book really good musicians.
Well, I mean, it's great having all these guys, it's lovely working with them. So.
Well, let's hear a bit. This is again. Is there 2 albums with this, or is this the latest album? Am I right?
This is the most recent one, which was from 2018. We were due to record a new one March of last year, so that was just at the beginning of lockdown, and it was going to be a live album. So that is now supposedly going to happen in December of this year. So we'll record it and hopefully I can put it out next year.
Right. So the band is Jiving Miss Daisy. Fantastic name. Brilliant. And the album is Whoop-de-Doo Songs from 2018. And the track we're going to play is Flaming Reeds and Screaming Brass. And we've got some pictures which you've supplied here as well, Simon, while this is on. Thank you. Here we go. Wonderful. Absolutely swinging. Beautiful playing and lovely arrangement. And so much spirit in there, isn't there? And sort of like really sets the scene, doesn't it? That music, fantastic. Well, we were just chatting off air, and I think I was saying the guitar really just makes that swing along, doesn't it? But Ellington didn't have the guitar. And would he have had a banjo on some things maybe now and again? I don't know. But so, no, that's really Freddie Green and that kind of bit later sound, isn't it? But it just slots right in, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But you've got the kind of Ellington horn kind of feel to it as well, and then sometimes more sort of just straight ahead swing as well. I know who's going to love that, and I think I'll give a shout out to my dad, my lovely dad, who's listening, and I know he would really enjoy that. So that one's for you, Dad. Let's name check this fantastic band you got as well. So that was an instrumental, but the often featured with you is the great Liz Fletcher on vocals. We've got Malcolm Earl Smith on trombone, Luke Anansi on the alto sax there and clarinets, Alex Garnett on the tenor sax, Simon Finch on the trumpet, who some people might recognise now at the cricket matches he's the trumpet player, isn't he, for the Barmy Army? Apparently that's his new gig, and he's enjoying that very much. I see regular Facebook posts from him on that. And the rhythm section's Colin Oxley on guitar, who we're going to hear some more from in a bit. John Pierce, the great John Pierce on piano. My guest Simon Thorpe on bass and arrangements, and a wonderful Matt Skelton on the drums, really swinging there with a fantastic China cymbal, which I'm saying I really enjoyed the sound of there. I mean, it must be so nice to play with this band and bring it along to venues and just see the big smiles on the audience faces.
Yeah. It's lovely, and it's great that it's kind of it's developed kind of just the way I wanted to, really, which is that we play in jazz venues. Obviously, we play at Ronnie's a couple of times a year on that Sunday lunchtime slot, and the Pizza and Dean Street we do, and some of the other clubs around, the Concord in Southampton and kind of places. But also, we do quite a lot of functions, weddings and things.
And people can dance as well. It's one of those great bands where, like, all those proper, really top legit sort of jazz clubs where people can sit and listen and watch the band. But you can also do the venues where they dance, can't you? Do you get a lot of the jive dancers come along as well? I should imagine on a few.
We used to do those. We used to do those. I mean, there is quite a lot of it around, but. I don't know, we kind of drifted away from that scene a bit, but that's kind of where we started. It's partly because, as an 8 or 9 piece band, it's not always...
Yeah, it's expensive,
But we do keep pretty busy with, as I say, a combination of kind of functions and, private functions and concerts and, festivals and jazz clubs.
Festivals, brilliant, yeah. Well, there you go, folks. If you're looking for a nice bit of swing, then the links below, and bar mitzvahs, weddings, and anything else that comes along.
We do actually do, we do smaller versions of the band as well, so it can be more economical if necessary.
There you go,
fantastic. There's a little bit of advertising.
Well, we look forward to seeing you back at Ronnie's as well and swinging the place there. So, I mean, as I said on the intro, you've been in such demand as a bass player and just played with just about everybody, an incredible sort of freelancing, and I think we perhaps should mention a few of the bands and musicians who you've recorded with a lot as well, who we're not going to play tonight because we haven't got time for everything. But I said 7 albums with Stacey Kent, but it's actually 5. I think a couple of them are compilations, so there's 5 actual albums. Martin Speake, Roger Beaujolais, Laura Zakian, the John Wilson Orchestra. That's a nice gig, isn't it?
Yeah, I played. Well, that was a long time ago when I played them. But
was that the Albert Hall? Was it the Proms?
It was before their Albert Hall days.
Before then, But great band to work for. Alan Barnes, you've done a lot of records with.
Yeah, loads of albums with Alan. Yeah.
I mean, he's
and some other stuff as well.
Well, he was on the show a few weeks back. It's probably couple of months back now. And those octet records are amazing, aren't they? Those suites he writes, and I think that's brilliant. Yeah. And again, he gets a real there's a real sound to his kind of arranging as well, I think. And I love the way he ties everything in with the kind of storylines and that. It's really creative. That I really think that's really quite special. Alison Neal, who we had on the show again recently. I mean, she's a fantastic player, isn't she? And
we recorded her first album. We recorded it at my place, actually.
Oh,
I think was that here? It might have been my place before, which was in Hackney, but I think we recorded that. Luke Ansley did an album as well here, so I do quite a bit of recording.
I remember your place in Hackney. You shared with Liam, because I used to live around the corner, didn't I?
Liam, that's right. Yeah. So
and
that was around about 2000 or something. Just place,
yeah. And me and Nick and Simon lived over the off license around the corner.
That's right.
Happy days. Happy days. Mr. Dooman was our landlord. He was always miserable. We called him Mr. Doom and Gloom. Yeah, gosh, that's going back some, isn't it? And so you would have you engineered those then?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that. Of course.
Yeah, I recorded them and played them. And the Jive Miss Daisy that we just heard, I didn't record it because we did that at studio, but I did all the mixing and production.
And you do all that yourself? Oh gosh, yeah.
It comes back to the BBC days.
Fantastic.
So I've got some reasonable knowledge of sound and audio, stuff.
Well, I was going to say that album, the Jive Miss Daisy album, sounds fantastic. It's fantastically recorded. That was that at Red Gables you did that?
It was indeed.
Yeah, that's a great place, isn't it? Yeah, but then you mixed it and mastered it all yourself.
At home, yeah. The thing with Red Gables, it's a very reasonably priced studio for what it is, and he's very geared up to record.
Yeah. And it's a nice space, isn't it?
Like decent-sized bands, and he's got a great piano. So
yeah, I've done a few things there. Yeah, it's a nice studio.
Yeah.
But if you've got that skill to do that, it's the dark arts to me. It really is. Oh crikey! I go drive myself nuts but yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it really does sound great. That Eriko Ishihara, who I've not heard of for ages. I mean, you did a couple of albums with her, and she's a lovely player, isn't she? And lovely person. And of course, we mentioned at the beginning Becky Muzaleko as well, who you've did a lot of touring with.
Yeah, I didn't record with him, but we did a lot of gigs, and that was a really memorable experience, and just
incredible talent. Yeah. Someone else who we are going to play next, and this is probably one of my favourite albums, Bobby Wellins, who you recorded with and played with a lot as well, and with his quartet. And you did an album in 2000, The Best Is Yet to Come, and I just think this is absolutely sublime. This whole album, and it's Bobby with the trio with you and Liam Noble on the piano, and the lovely Dave Wickens, who we lost 2 years ago this week, and very much missed. And that's a beautiful record. Where was that recorded? That one was that? Do you remember?
I think that was at Clown's Pocket, Derek Nash's.
At Derek Nash's studio. Oh, fantastic! Because again, it's got a lovely sound, and the piano sounds beautiful on that. And working with Bobby must have been really, really a lot of fun. It must have been lovely.
Oh yeah. We did a lot of gigs with him, and that the kind of residency thing that he had at the 606. So we did that for a year or two.
Yeah,
well. And just lots of different things. But
was that the Saturday night thing he did?
Yeah, that's right. So yes, that was lovely,
Yeah, I mean that's something, isn't it? I think I actually decked on with him on that one Saturday night there. So it's a good play, isn't it? It's just like 3 sets or something. Am I right? And then you get to play a lot of music, don't you?
That's right.
So you did that for a year or two. Yeah, wow, that's and obviously you and Liam go back a long way, and working with Dave as well. So Dave's a great player, wasn't he? He could really do anything, couldn't he? He could really swing and play, keep it down, but he could be so free and creative, and he had this incredible touch, didn't he, on the drums, which is
fantastic sound. That's one of the great things. I think he just got such a great sound from the kit,
Yeah. And he didn't hit them hard. It was quite.
No.
and but you get all this lovely sort of really warmth of sound and tone out the drums. Yeah, incredible touch on the instrument. Well, look, let's play this. So this is a ballad, and it features. You get obviously a feature on this. Quite often the bass features on the ballads, doesn't it? Yeah, that's quite nice. So the track is I Left My Heart in San Francisco. The album is The Best Is Yet to Come. It's the Bobby Wellings Quartet. And again, the links are below if you want to get this. It's well worth getting this album, folks. Let's check it out. Here we go. I hope you're enjoying the show. I just want to take a moment to tell you about a new way that you can help support me do this, and that is through patreon.com. That's right, I've got an account now, so the link's below here, patreon.com Buster Birch, and if you go along to there, you can now make donations by Visa credit card, so you don't have to use PayPal if you don't want to do that. And the advantage of Patreon is that once you do it once, it will automatically deduct on a per show basis. So instead of having to fill in the forms every week, if you want to make a regular donation, then that will just automatically deduct straight to your credit card each per show. And that is hugely helpful to me, because it means I know that I've got a certain amount coming in every time I do a show, and that really helps me plan ahead and keeps the viable sustainability of the show going. There's two levels of sponsorship. There's my silver and gold membership. All of my Patreon supporters will get a big thank you personally from me live on the show, and the gold member sponsors will get an additional Spotify playlist which will be sent to you each week. It's something that I'm putting together. It's personally curated by me and will feature lots more albums by the guest artists each week. So it's a great opportunity to get to know this music much better. If you're really enjoying the show and you like the little tasters that you're hearing, that's a great way to get to know this music even more and enjoy in full comfort the full sound of the full albums. Thanks very much. Back to the show. Yes, welcome back. My guest tonight is the great bass player Simon Thorpe, and I've just got to say hello to a few people in the chat box. Hi there, Robin's in the house, and Brian Waves tuning in all the way from France. Welcome. Nice to see you guys. It's oh mate, that's just such a great album, that it really just, and hearing Dave again as well, and Bobby's sound is I mean, it's famous, isn't it? His sound, but I love the way he sometimes those little vamp outs on that he liked to do, and he just plays these little ideas, and he kind of really teases it, doesn't he? It's always something really interesting there, and you can see a little spark in his eye, a little sort of twinkle in his eye, and a little smile, half a smile, as he's playing out on those little vamp outs. So they're really lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, great player. I think that's an album that I'm really proud to have been part of. It's lovely to be on a Bobby album.
yeah, and a very good one at that as well. I mean, the planets really align sometimes, don't they? So we've got another track now we're going to play, which is another fantastic saxophone player, Ben Clatworthy, who you've worked with a lot, and a wonderful musician. And this quartet again featuring John Donaldson on the piano, and Darren Beckett on the drums, and this is another new album. So we've got a lot of new material tonight, which is great, and so it's called The Pursuit. And was it last year again? Was this another one like just pre-lockdown, just similar?
I think it was probably end of 2019 we recorded it, or maybe I think it was probably end of 2019. We went down to Dave Beebe's studio in where's that? It's on the south coast, Seaford, and and we did all that in. I think we recorded it all in sort of one session, 3 or 4 hour session.
Great,
and quite a few of Ben's originals, and then so I think the CDs themselves, 1,000 of them, were delivered to my house like 4 days after lockdown had started. So I wiped them all down, the boxes, and straight into the loft where they're selling now like hotcakes. But at first, it was like nobody was doing anything. But then, people started buying them online. So
good. Well, again, folks, the link's below, so do help out if you can. And is there anything coming up with this? Have got any things now opening up with this band?
As you may or may not know, Ben lives in Los Angeles. He's actually English, but he's lived in Los Angeles since 1980, and he comes over until lockdown. Until COVID. He was coming over a couple of times a year to do a tour and some recording and some teaching. But he has been able to do that since beginning of 2020. So we're just again looking forward to when it will be possible for the band to play again. And it's great playing with Darren Beckett, fantastic drummer from. He's now back in Brighton, but he was in New York for 20 years. So he picked up a whole lot of stuff there, which is great. It's lovely to play with someone. He's younger. He's a lot younger than us anyway, and it's great to play with him. He has a real fantastic New York energy, despite being originally from Belfast. He was in New York for 20 years, so
great,
very good to play with.
Fantastic. And this band, this quartet, you've worked with Ben for a long time, haven't you? Goes for another kind of long musical partnership there. Yeah,
it is kind of probably 10 years or something. I started playing with him with Martin Drew when he was still around.
Oh, bless him.
He left us quite a while ago now, but so I think there's a kind of freedom in Ben's band, which is just wonderful. The music can just go anywhere, and that's a great feeling,
and it's quite contemporary as well, isn't it? I mean, very contemporary. I mean, it's really right up there, isn't it?
He's a phenomenal player. I mean, he's one of those kind of Marmite characters. People like his playing or don't like his playing, but he's genuine. He's him, and.
It sounds great. I mean, he's a great player.
Lovely to play with, and and he used to, he was a kind of prodigy of Ronnie Scott. Ronnie Scott invited him to come and play at the club, and he used to come twice a year and play at the club regularly when it was under Ronnie's, supervision, when Ronnie was still around.
That's right. Back in the days where you do like 2 weeks or something every night with the group, and wow, what a great way to get the band together as well and get the band hot, isn't it? Playing every night like that.
And Ben's still, he works a lot in Los Angeles as well. He's got lots of different projects going on out there. Again, has been until 18 months ago.
So do you keep in touch across?
Yeah, we're in touch quite a lot actually. Yeah, so we're just sort of waiting for an opportunity to start things again.
Yeah, well, we wish him well, and I hope he can get back over soon. And again, this is original track. Is it mostly original tunes with this band? And do you do a lot of the writing as well, or is it pretty much sort of a sideman gig for you?
Yeah, kind of a sideman gig, but let's say there's plenty of room for creativity.
Oh yeah,
John wrote one of the tunes on this album. I think Ben wrote maybe three, and then there are some. Ben writes interesting arrangements of, there's one on there that's a Strayhorn tune. Quite often he'll write arrangements of, pop tunes, different kind of things.
but do's kind of like a modern jazz interpretation
Yeah,
of
exactly.
things. Yeah, yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, that's great. And a lot of reharmonizations and things like
Yeah,
that as well going on. Yeah, yeah. And so this is so I don't know this tune, Bolivian Odyssey. Is this an
yeah.
original?
That's one of his. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the story. He always tells the story on the gig of what it's about, which was a trip with the band. I think it was a quartet from his band from Los Angeles, and they had a gig in Bolivia, but there was hurricanes around, and the the journey was just absolute nightmare. It went on for like 3 days, getting
Just to,
just to get from what should be like a 3 hour flight or something.
so it
So
felt like Ulysses going around the
exactly,
world, and was it
exactly,
10 years or something till he got home again? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So that's the story behind this music anyway.
Oh, we certainly got a sense of the energy in the
Yeah,
groove
yeah,
and that as well.
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's hear a bit of this Bolivian Odyssey, and the album we should say is called The Pursuit. Is the
Yeah,
album?
yeah.
How many albums is that? You done with him now? Is that
I've actually only recorded two.
two? But he's
There's the
done a
one.
few more. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've
long.
done loads. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one before that was called, yeah, that one.
It was the one before. Oh, that always. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I know, it's What's
We'll
Going
go-
On? That's
What's going on? There
It's
we
the
go.
Marvin Gaye tune. Yeah.
Right, fantastic.
And
Okay, so and again, the links are below, folks, and I think there's a few pictures here as well of the band that we're going to see. So this is Bolivian Odyssey from the album The Pursuit. Yeah, big apologies there for the fade, but we're just we'll leave the rest up to your imagination, and maybe you can check out the album. So that was Bolivian Odyssey, and featuring fantastic Ben Clapp with him, and my guest Simon Thorpe on the bass. Yeah, mate, some absolutely smashing music, great stuff there. We were just chatting about Dave Cliff and Jeff Simpkins as well, who you've worked with a lot over the years, haven't you? And they've both been on this show, and great musicians. I know you worked with a lot in the early days and over many years as well. And it's that Dave's a really strong. He's a very fine musician, isn't he? But he's a great character, isn't he, as well? And very, very wise man. On the gigs I've did with Dave, I used to love the car journeys and just little pearls of wisdom.
Exactly.
That come out his mouth like all the time. I mean, it doesn't sound like little one-liners and just very dry and funny, but really insightful as well, and quite a deep stuff, you know. And of course, Jeff. Absolute master.
Yeah, beautiful.
So you were, and that was a trio, was it, without the drums you were saying, or was that more?
Yeah, I wouldn't
sometimes
say
quartet.
We were a regular trio, but we did quite a few things. I think we did the Six and quite a few things around Brighton as well. Dave was always up and down to Brighton playing with Jeff, and I'd quite often be doing those things as well. And often with Ron Parry as well on drums.
Yeah.
Or Dave Wickens. Yeah, so there were lots of different lineups going around, but always a pleasure to play with those guys.
And one thing that I find really interesting, people might not be aware of, but like when you're playing such different music with such different bands, and as that there's so many different ways to approach that, isn't there? As a musician sort of coming in, some of these people obviously you have long-term partnerships with that you play with over a long period of time, you get to know each other and that. But when you're coming in and you're working and you're feeling your way with a band like that, and you're playing, we've played tonight on the show some really a big range of different styles of music as well. And so and there's something also about being in the rhythm section, isn't there? That great responsibility of like knowing how far to push things. And is it have you got any kind of thoughts about that? Is it a conscious thing, or you just essentially just trying to use your ears and do I mean, how much of your thing can you put on stuff like when you're coming in, and is there any conversations about that, or is it just kind of something you feel?
Not don't really have any conversations about it, but it's sort of as soon as the music starts, it becomes apparent what you need to do. It's hard to say, because obviously, I mean, from the beginning, if somebody's counting you in, you're in on beat one or possibly beat two or whatever, but you're in. But so you're kind of feeling your way from the very beginning, but it becomes apparent pretty quick if it's you're working with somebody new, what kind of style they're after and what kind of things they're. I think you just play to the music really, and you contribute your thing, whatever it is, and somehow it becomes apparent, the style that you need to play or whether you need to do something differently, but ultimately you're all working together to create a thing, whatever that thing is on that particular occasion.
I mean, I suppose to a certain extent, when you're getting booked, they you're a known and greatly respected bass player, so they're booking you, aren't they? They're not booking a bass player at this point. But when you're getting started out and you're sort of finding your way as well, I guess you're having to sort of. It takes a lot of great sensitivity, doesn't it, and a lot of listening, I think, and just.
It's all about listening. I mean, ultimately, I guess what we're all trying to do is to overcome all the technical stuff and the knowledge of harmony or whatever, and just to be able to play what is needed at that time without having to think about what it is, what the note is called, or anything like that. It's just like, what do I need to play at this point, and you play it.
No more, no less. Play what the music requires, basically.
I think so,
what you feel it requires. Yeah. Well, obviously it works, because I mean, you've been. I mean, she's played with so many people and so much that
It's the variety that I like best of all. I think, we were saying this earlier on as well. The variety of playing with different musicians and different styles, and every gig is different. Every night is different.
yeah.
And I think the variety is what I enjoy the most. I think if I were playing with one band night after night, however amazing a level of musicianship it might be, of the guys I'm playing with, I actually kind of like the variety that, tomorrow night I'll be with some different guys, or, the day after that it might be with a singer, or the night after that it would be a big band or whatever, and different styles, something from the 30s or 40s, and then something that's pretty contemporary. That's what I like, is the variety.
And you find that pulls, do you find that like it pulls different things out from you, putting yourselves in those different situations as well?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I know what you mean about like a bit of variety. It keeps it fresh as well, doesn't it? And you can't get too kind of complacent either, can you? And it's nice to sort of keep your edge of your sword sharp a bit, by doing these different things, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, great. Well, I think unless you've got anything else you want to add, or anyone that we have not covered, is there anything we've missed, do you think?
No, just this last track, I guess, with Karen, and this is a lovely trio that we put together just kind of by chance. We ended up playing together on a gig, and we just thought this would be great to be just a trio. So drumless. Not that that's always a good thing, Buster, but in this particular...
Sometimes it's not a bad thing, yeah. No,
context, this trio is, we just love working together, and we're getting a few chances to do it, and that's lovely. And we recorded this album at my place as well, so...
Right, I didn't realise that.
We kind of did everything ourselves, really.
Well, I particularly love drumless albums because they give me something to practice along with.
That's all we are, is a backing track.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love putting on albums like this, and then I'll just sit and play along with you guys and have a nice time. But funny enough, we have we're going to play out on this. So as we like to do, and this is the Karen Sharp Trio, and Karen was on the show. Number 29, and I played something from this album already, and so we picked a different track here, and it's a beautiful album. Again, I didn't realise you'd recorded it, mate. I mean, again, wonderful sound, really, really great sound on this album.
Right in this very, very living room, or part of it. This Karen was in this room, and Colin and I were in the next room through the glass there.
Wow, it just goes to show, doesn't it? If you know what you're doing, you can really get it to work, can't you? I mean, without having to. And I suppose the thing with when you're playing live together like that, with because there's always. I mean, I was asking Andy about this a couple of weeks ago. As you know, he's a great sound engineer as well, and bass player as well. Maybe there's something in there. Yeah. But he's saying about spill. People get this whole obsession about spill, but actually. It's fine, isn't it? If you're all playing together at the same time.
Yeah.
How do you? Are you're presumably quite open about that as well? Then?
Yeah, I mean, there's. Yeah, I mean, spill it's useful sometimes if you're editing stuff to be able to, isolate the different instruments.
Yeah.
But most of the time, there's no need. Most of the time, there's no need to do that, and actually, the sound can be better, warmer if you're actually.
Yeah.
The sound is that you're all in a space together, rather than trying to separate everyone and then bring it together
in the mix. Yeah, and of course that's how they did record those great albums that we all know and love the sound of. So that's the reason why they all stood. I mean, famously Miles, in that great big Columbia studios, they all stood really close together, right in the middle, didn't they?
Yeah, and I love the sound of all any of those old recordings. The drum sound is real. In the sense that it's a whole hit, and you get the sound of the big room. Because all the other guys are close to a mic, but the drums sound big, and that's just a lovely sound. That's what drums are supposed to sound like. They fill the room, but hopefully not louder than everything else. But they've got, they were in space, and that's really important on a recording.
Yeah, the dark arts indeed. It is to me anyway. But I have a small amount of knowledge. They say is a dangerous thing, but I have enough knowledge to sort of understand that it really is a very powerful thing, and it's a very important thing, and that it is a lot of skill involved with getting us. And the sound, I always say the sound engineer is another member, a very important member of the band, aren't they? And I guess if you're playing on it as well, you're able to control that, and if you know what you're doing, that's a big help, isn't it, to be able to deal with that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I think time's unfortunately passed us by. It's been great having you on the show, mate. Thanks for giving up your evening. Thanks for sharing your music. And as I said, folks, this is just a very small sample of Simon's incredible output with all these amazing bands he plays with. So please do go and check out some more. And if you're on my Patreon Gold member list, you'll be getting a playlist coming to you very shortly with some more of Simon's recordings, including some stuff with Stacey Kent and some of those other bands as well. So do check the links out below. Everything's below there. And if you have enjoyed the music and the show, folks, then please do consider a donation. It's very much still appreciated. We're not out of the woods yet, and so this is going a long way to helping us out. I'll be back next week with I'm going to say this, one of the best drummers in the world, Mr. Mark Mondays here, and absolutely an absolute world-class drummer, one of the finest exponents of the instrument in a generation, and I'll be very pleased to have him on the show live with me next week, and then I'll be taking a break, and I'll be back after that in the autumn. So take care of yourselves, and once again, thanks to everybody who's tuned in. Thanks for everybody who makes a donation, and I'll see you next week. And thank you, Simon, for giving up your time. It's been really nice having this show. Thank you for sharing this beautiful music, and we hope to see you again soon. And your gigs are listed on your website, aren't they, below? So if anything coming up, they'll be able to find it there. Yep,
should be. I shall start putting them up now that the gigs are actually beginning to happen again.
Yeah, good. Well, I hope to see you soon, mate, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks on our online jazz summer school, which I'll get a little plug in there for as well. So, still a few places left, folks. If you wanna spend 3 days learning the bass with Simon, just check out our summer school. Go to my website. There's more information there about that. So the online UK Jazz Summer School, and we're going to play out with this lovely track from the Karen Sharp Trio, which features my guest Simon Thorpe on the bass, Colin Oxley on the guitar, again a very fine guitarist, and Karen Sharp on the saxophone. And this is this an original, Simon? I don't know this one. It's one of your tunes. It's one of your compositions. Yeah. Fantastic.
What is it? October.
Yes, October. Yes,
yeah, that's one of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So the album's called Another Place. It was out last year, so another new album there, and the track's called October, composed by Simon. Thanks, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Thanks, mate. Good night.